This call is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone, and we're here at the Cooking Without Looking TV show podcast. This is Renee Rentmeester. I'm the creator and executive producer of the Cooking Without Looking TV show and podcast. And today we have an extra special treat. We're here with Joanna Benthall. Joanna, how are you this morning?
I'm fine. Hello, everyone.
Hey, and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Jersey City, New Jersey.
Okay. So let me ask you something. Our motto is changing the way we see blindness. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a 34-year-old young woman, recently married, about 5 months and 11 days.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Boy, you're still a
Um,
newlywed.
yes, I am. Love is so wonderful. Love is love, you know. But
I know.
it feels
That's
great.
wonderful.
So, outside of that, I am totally blind. It had March 29th actually, will be 14 years. But I don't allow that to stop me or hinder me from where I want to go. You set limitations to yourself, not allowing the world to do so. My motto is actually is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's actually a Bible verse too. so,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yes, and I strongly believe in it. I can do anything as long as I put my mind to it, except drive a car for right now. But we all know that's probably in the making as well.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, you know what? The cars that they have, I actually went to speak to the people at Tesla, and the cars that are self-driving have gotten into several accidents.
oh
and
well, I'll
and they're
I'll
not they're
stay
not
chauffeuring.
truly.
I'll stay
Yeah,
being
right.
chauffeured.
There you go. There you go. That's a great way to look at it.
um, but I am the first plus size model in my county, the first actual blind woman to walk the runway to basically break those stereotypes or those mindsets that being on the plus size or being visually impaired or blind, we can't model. That's no way possible. You could use a fishing wire. On the runway to keep you lined up to do what you need to do, or such thing that they gave me was a male escort, which is also my photographer, and I'm a brand ambassador for their company, which is Butterfly Rhythm, which is based here out of Jersey City,
Say
New
that name
Jersey.
again, Joanna.
Butterfly Rhythm.
Butterfly Rhythm. How cool. What a great
Yes, it's an
name.
it's an empowerment model, a model coaching organization, as well as uh, empowerment. Speaking life into yourself.
So,
She's also a inspirational speaker as well. Her and her husband are some dynamic duels. They are actually called the Powells. Um, um, it's so much that I do. I am the first time licensed resource parent in my county as well. So I'm a licensed foster parent. I open my home to children who may be in need of a place of residency, uh,
aw.
temporarily or permanent. Um, and that's what brought me to being more involved in the National Federation of the Blind, because I was going through so many different adversaries dealing with Division of Child Protection and Permanency as far as trying to get my license. They wasn't knowledgeable that blind people can raise children as well, because competency is in the mind and not in the physical being of the person. But
Right. You're just like you're like a superhero for stereotypes. You're just shooting them down left and right. You've got
well,
about four stereotypes you're shooting down over here at one time.
well, all the glory does go to my savior. I can't take the credit for anything. Um, you know, um, uh, what else?
Well, how
I
did you become blind, Joanna? What
oh,
happened?
actually, I was going to work one day. I was working in my favorite store, Ashley Stewart, and I was on my way to work, and next thing you know, my sight went out, and I was
Wow.
crossing the street, Now, as a child, I was diagnosed with macular degeneration at the age of 10 months. So,
Which is
I
like
wore,
Stargardt's, right? It's the
yes,
Stargard's for young people.
yes. And I wore glasses and things of that nature, because I was also considered nearsighted. So, but this particular day, I was crossing the street to get the bus, and my sight went out, and the only thing I was doing was screaming, saying, "Ah, I can't see, I can't see."
Oh my
And
gosh.
some gentleman helped me onto the sidewalk, and he asked, "How can he assist me?" I said, "Here's my phone. Can you call my mom?" And he called my mom, and my mom came down to the bus stop where I was at, and she assisted me to the nearest eye clinic. And he said he didn't know what was going on, he couldn't do anything, and he referred me to another eye clinic in Union City, New Jersey, and they didn't know what was going on. And I ended up at the UMDMJ, University of Medical and Dentistry, in Newark, New Jersey. And there I was told that my sight in my right eye was long gone 5-10 years prior. 5 to 10 years prior, and at the age I was 20. So, and they said the sight in my left eye was going. And I said, well, how could this have happened if I was always going to the eye doctors? And they would give me glasses and say, your retina is detached. So my retina was detached in both eyes, and then
Oh
glaucoma and
my God.
cataract. Yeah, the glaucoma and cataract came. Now, I had 9 eye surgeries totaled, 8
Oh,
surgeries on just my left eye, and one surgery on my right eye. And only thing that they said that they can do now is just keep the eyes comfortable, which is they have me on glaucoma drops. But for God I live and for God I die. So my God, I do believe that I will receive my eyesight. You know, um, but that's how I lost it. So it was the macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataract, and retinal detachment at
all
the
at
age of
once.
20. Yes.
At once. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? A lot of sighted people ask, and I'll ask you too. What do you see? What happened? What did you see when you went blind? I mean, it sounds like a funny question, but what did you see?
Actually, I seen nothing. It was just darkness. It was complete darkness, and I was wondering, what is going on? Why is it so dark? Like, what is happening here? And then I started to see like floaters. That's what they call them. And I described them to my eye doctor. My description was like, it seemed like I see lightning bolts,
Yeah.
flashing, like lightning is going on in my eyes.
Little
And they
lightning
told me that,
balls.
yeah. And they told me that it was floaters. That means the retina was detached, and I was seeing pieces of the retina just moving around, looking like partial C's or something. Like they were trying to like C's, to let it see.
That's very
But
painful too, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, it does cause a lot of discomfort to the eyes. It really does. So they have me on. I'm on 3 different drops. I have to do one at bedtime, and the other two is throughout the course of the day. 3 drops in each eye, but it keeps the eye pressure down, and try to put some comfort back to the eyes. I also supposed to wear shades all day due to the fact that my eyes are also considered aphic, which I have no lens on either eye.
Oh,
So I
well
supposed
that
to wear shades to protect them.
that answers a good question too, because people always wonder, well, if you're totally blind, why are you wearing sunglasses?
Yeah, most people situations vary. Some people are totally blind, but the eyes itself, the muscles in the eyes itself, can be very sensitive to light. You don't
Hmm.
want them to strain, because I know my eyes strain. If I don't have my shades on, and I'm very hard headed. So listeners, please don't do this. I don't wear my shades like I supposed to, and I'm getting into the habit of doing so. Because the eyes strain, strain
Oh,
to see whatever, because the brain is sending the message saying you can see this. And the eyes and the brain is basically in a battle.
oh my God.
you know, that was a revelation that came to me. My eyes and my brain is in a battle. My brain is saying you can see this, and my eyes are saying not right now. So it causes a lot of discomfort.
Well, so then what happened after that? Were you in school?
At the
What were you doing?
time, at the time, I was actually, like I said, I was working at one of my favorite stores, which is Ashley Stewart. So I ended up having to become unemployed again, and honestly speaking, depression set in.
Oh, sure.
Depression set in, and also suicide thoughts. Suicidal
Oh,
thoughts set in.
no.
Yeah, at the age
No.
of 20, and I just have to be transparent. That's just how I live my life. I'm very transparent, but because I felt like I'm too young. I'm too young to go through this. Why me? What is it for me? Like I'm just starting to reach the peak of life. I'm trying to live life, figure out what
Mhm.
life is for me, and here I am becoming blind. Why? And so
That's
I
sort
was
of like our
raised.
society. Our society makes it seem like if you're blind, your life is over. So
Yes,
you were just
yes.
channeling what society tells us.
And the thing is, I knew no one but my granny, and at the time, my granny was already passed, and
Oh.
so family wasn't really too much knowledgeable of what to do, how to do it, which way to do it in. But I got involved with the New Jersey Commission for the Blind, and my counselor Maria Bird. She's just wonderful. She stuck by me, even in my stubbornness. She stuck by me. Yes, I was very stubborn. I didn't want to use a cane. I'm quite sure many of us can relate to that. Didn't want to use a cane, and just felt like
You
didn't
don't
want
want
to
to look
live.
blind.
Yes, I didn't want that. And, sitting there, but when you have loved ones and a praying family, it does take an effect in your life. And that's what happened. The prayers and loved ones, it started to affect me. And I started to just alter my perception of life. And I kept saying to myself, if I was just made of my eyesight, then who am I? Who am I?
Hmm.
I'm more than my eyesight. It's
Right,
not my
right.
my sight that determines or validate who I am in this world. That's not my identity. It's a part of who I am. So I started to say, I'm not I'm not blind. I'm not legally blind. It's just a characteristic that added itself into my life for whatever reason.
You don't need to
And
label yourself.
yes, like I'm going to be who I am because my name, as of now, is Joanna Benthall, but then it was Joanna Mallard. I said, I am Joanna Mallard, and blindness is a part of me. So I'm going to live it. I'm not going to allow it to live me. I'm
Right.
going to
I
do what
like
it
that.
is that is best to do. So here I am. Here I am. I did attend a training center in New Brunswick to learn my blind skills. Graduated from there in June of 2008 and went straight on to New Jersey City University to study sociology. And I went there to college with on an EOF scholarship, Equal Opportunity Funding Scholarship.
Hmm.
And you know, I didn't complete it. I did three years, and a major situation took place in my health, and it brought on fear. It brought on a little fear, and I was
Oh,
afraid to go back to the campus and walk around on campus because, like, what if I fall somewhere, or what if this happens again and no one knows, no one can find me, and it was just those fear of things. I had to find once again. I had to reroute my thinking and find who I was, not only who I was within myself, but who I was in God. Who do I serve? You
hmm.
know, um, he's the one who had me. So am I going to let the trials and tribulations or the fear within myself or the fear of the world or the status quo of the world define me? Or am I going to reach out of that pit and say, I'm more than a conqueror. I'm more than what the world may bring against me or the situations that may take place in my life. And that's what I decided to do.
That's amazing. And so then you became sort of like you became a model in many different ways for people, not just in what you wear for clothing, but for what you stand for as a woman who is blind.
Yes, I can actually agree to that. And it started within myself because internal motivation is the best motivation you can have because sometimes external motivation dies down. And if your adrenaline is based upon external motivation and then it's no longer given to you, then you will look at life that it failed again. But if it's within you, can't no one change that or take that away. And that's what I had to do. I had to let my siblings and my mom and everyone that I came across, regardless if it was they were known or unknown, know that life is worth living, and I choose to live it.
Right, exactly. So did you go to modeling school, or how did you get into modeling, Joanne?
Well, I was a member of a organization here in Jersey, New Jersey, called Club for the Uniquely Abled, and I was the only blind one in that organization. But I was there and there, just getting along with people. And my model coach, Mrs. Powell, and her husband, they were coming because Mr. Powell's brother was a member of that organization, and Mrs. Powell came to me and said, "Do you model?" And I'm like, "No." She said, "Would you like to be a model?" I said, "I can't be a model." and she said, and she's a plus size woman. She's a plus size woman, full figure, and oh my God, this woman is phenomenal. But she said, "Yes, you can." And she said, "Why do you think you can?" I said, "Because how do I see where I'm going?" How do I see where I'm going? Because I just couldn't put it together in my mind. It wasn't the mere fact that I was on the plus side, because I was always confident in who I am. But it was more
Right.
so, how can I see where I'm going? And she said, "We'll figure that out." And so she planted that seed, and I said, "Well, let me do some research." So I started doing research and found out that Amanda, who was on Top Model one year, she was legally blind. We didn't hear
Right.
much more about her after the fact, but I started to research and said, "What can I do?" And they said a fishing pole. So they was going to implement the fishing pole for me, but the runway was a little too narrow. So my model coach said her husband could be my escort. And I said, "Okay, if you don't mind, that will be pleasant." So I had to teach him how to walk with me.
Sure.
And that's how I became that model. She poured into me, and I was in a pageant, I was in a competition, I won the People's Choice Award.
Wow.
Yes, it was phenomenal. I actually modeled for a, a a calendar that was actually promoting for insurance for people, and that model company was Flavors of Fullness. So, and then I modeled for Smart Glamour. I'm all over her website. Um, Modeling her line at the time was, um, I think it was All Matters or All Means, meaning it was everyone from with a different disability that modeled in that line at the time. And so I'm all over her website, wearing her dress that she designed for me, and things like that. So
Give
I
us the
experienced.
website, Joanne, so we can all
It's
take a look at it.
www.smartglamour.com. She's also on Instagram and Facebook.
So it's
Smartglamour.com. Glamour,
www.smartglamour.com.
yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. You know what? And this brings up a question a lot of people may have. Oftentimes, when you come upon a blind person, people want to help you out. How does someone approach a blind person who you may want to offer your arm or your shoulder? What are your preferences?
Well, I prefer for the sighted individual to ask, do you need, would you like for me to assist you, or is there any way that I can assist you? And you allow the opposite individual, meaning the blind person, to respond with a yes or a no. And it's not for the sighted person to get offended, because a lot of us are very independent. Sometimes we could become a little too independent to a degree where it could come off a little rude. So I ask that modification take place in any dialect modification. Um, but someone come up to me and say, "Oh, may I help you?" And I say, sometimes it depends. If it's a new atmosphere, someplace I've never been, I'm kind of confused about the entrance area, I'll say, "Sure, can you assist me to the door?" And they'll say, sometimes they may move a little too fast with their hands. And I say, "No, no, I ask that you not grab me. This is how you do this. It's called sighted guide, and I'll
Right.
leave that. The words over there, or right here, they don't help."
Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't help. What is
It's
over
like being
there
in a
or
Home
right?
Depot.
Yes, like what is that? So it's best to just act. if the blind person needs assistance, or how can you assist them, and allow them to respond and what's best for them.
Well, you know what? And when you think about it, if you're a sighted person and you're approaching a totally blind person and you just grab them, that is like so frightening. I imagine
Yes,
as a
it's
sighted
also
person,
rude.
someone just grabbing me from the back.
Yes, yes, it's rude and it's very frightening because they can't see you coming. Now my
No.
thing is, would a sighted person grab hold to another sighted person? You wouldn't just go and grab on them. It's a respect barrier. I'm a human being. I just can't see.
And I don't think they do it out of disrespect. I think they're just not thinking.
Yeah.
They're not thinking it through. If they're not thinking like, well, what if someone grabbed them from behind? Like you
Mhm.
think you're being robbed.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And another thing, as far as when a sighted person hear or encounters a blind individual, it's not for the sighted person to talk louder. I said that I can't see, not that I can't hear. You know, sighted people have a tendency to get a little loud, and our ears are a little sensitive. You know.
Well, I've taken like totally blind people grocery shopping, and oftentimes what happens is, if you're asking, or if okay, so the blind person is asking the clerk for something, and the clerk turns to the sighted person and starts telling them how,
Yes.
no, they just asked. I'm not asking. They just asked. They can hear you.
Yes, yes. And I tell a lot of associates and clerks or whomever may be of assistance in whatever company or store that I'm in, if I'm with my husband or if I'm with a family member, you know, um, you can talk to me. You can talk
Yeah,
to
right.
me. And
I
they
don't
say, "Oh,
mind.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And I'm like, it's okay, because some people really don't know. They are not educated in that area, and it's for us blind Americans to educate the sighted world. We will
Right,
forever.
exactly. That's why we have the show and the podcast, because we found that a lot of people don't know any people who are blind. And honestly, before I started this, I didn't know anyone who was blind. I never met anyone who was blind. There was no one in my family who was blind, and so you don't know. But then now it's like most of my friends are blind.
Hmm.
So
You know, it. I
I'm
love.
sorry.
I just love people as a whole. And if it's one thing that I can actually say, you know, being blind is not is not a disease, is not contagious. In all honesty, I wasn't a mean person before I lost my sight. I was not a mean person at all. I was always kind-hearted. But me losing my sight definitely allows me to see people more with the heart and from the heart
Hmm.
than with physical eyes. You know, and I think that's very pleasant because you have a better judgment. You know, if you're paying attention anyway, if you have a better judgment. Not to say that you're judging anyone. It's more so you'll know how to come across a little different. As for me, I could say, I tell people all the time, if I honestly I had no sense of direction before I lost my eyesight. Like I said, I was only 20. I was just trying to figure out what life was. So losing
Right.
my sight wasn't a burden to me. It was actually enlightening because I wouldn't have encountered or accomplished all the things that I have done this far. And trust me, God not finished with me yet. I would not have been where I am if it wasn't for losing my sight. So I tell people that you may have lost your eyesight, but you didn't lose your vision. That's my quote because I also have my own nonprofit by the name of Unique Eyes. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm blind. It's actually the eyes that's upon your heart, how you perceive life to be. That's what makes you unique. And what my organization does every quarterly, I reach out to families and family members or facilities or things like that, seeing if anyone is in need of anything. And I have blessed families, as many as 15 families quarterly, with a box or a Tupper bin filled with toiletries, products that they can use for a family. I would ask how many members are in their family, and they will give me that number. So if it's two parents and three children or whatever it may be, I will fill that box to the top with things that I feel like they would need, and it will be delivered to them. And
Wow,
and I
that's
do it
great.
all. And because my thing is, we it's just it's just a good thing to help someone else. Because you just never know what someone else may be going through, and so it's best to just always keep others in mind. And it's basically letting people know that Joanna is very selfless, which I am. Which I am. I'm very selfless.
Sure.
I don't mind giving or helping someone. I really don't mind.
Well, that's wonderful. And you know what? Sometimes people feel sorry for blind people and they think that they have to do everything for them, and you've turned it around and said, "No, I'm going to be selfless and I'll be doing everything for other people."
Yes, because that makes the world go round. Love is very powerful, and love is an action word. You show love, you show it, you express it, and this is how I'm able to express my love to people who I don't know, never even met, but it's just a way of saying you are not forgotten. It's someone in the world thinking of you. And that's how I'm able to do it.
Yes, that's beautiful. Now you got married a couple of months ago.
Yes, October 6th, I got married. um, to my best friend. He's my best
Aw,
friend, but yes.
how did you guys meet?
Actually, I met him when I was 14, and being
Oh,
14, I was a bookworm. My mom said my daughter too young. He was 17 at the time. My daughter too young. She don't know anything about a boyfriend. And he said, well, young lady, if we happen to meet again in the near future, I would like to make you, mine. And I said, okay,
aw.
So I met him again, came across crossed paths again when I was 17, and we were together then, and we was engaged then at that time, but we went our separate ways, and because we felt like we were ready, but we really wasn't. We haven't even experienced life and things like that. So 13 years went by, and once again we crossed paths, and here we are. So it was definitely meant to be. It was meant to be.
Exactly.
And
And he doesn't care, about the blindness.
oh, absolutely not for anything. He tells me, "Can you let me do something sometime? Can you let me do something sometime?" And he doesn't take my independence away, but he do like to, I guess, help with it at times. And I told him, "You're a great help. As a blind person, we have to scan our mail and listen to it. Our ears and our brain is constantly on alert all the time." And I
Sure.
told him, I said, "This is how you are blessing me and taking a lot off of my plate. You know, I don't have to sit there and listen to everything all the time. I can give my brain a chance to relax at times because you're here.
Mhm.
Not to say that I can't do it because I've been doing it all this time. It's just that he takes a lot off my plate when it comes to that. So I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. And he allows me to be who I am.
And that's beautiful. And speaking of plates, you were telling me about your amazing macaroni and cheese, but it's not just macaroni and cheese. So share that recipe with us.
Well, I am a cook. My husband loves one of my dishes, which is baked macaroni and cheese. But it's not the standard baked macaroni and cheese that many of us may be thinking about, which is also scrumptious. I implement some shrimp or crab meat in it,
Mm.
and it's real crab meat. Or what I'll do, I'll cook it on the stove at first. First and foremost, you gotta boil the elbow noodles. Depending on the size pan, you make a 9 by 13 or a 16-inch pan. A 16-inch pan will need two boxes, and a 9 by 13 will only need one box of elbow noodles. But you boil them until they're, and you don't want them. You don't want them soggy. you don't you you don't want them soggy, so you boil them to a good feel texture, and then you add your. I'm gonna do a 9 by 13 pan, and you boil that. You add your one egg, and you get your milk, which if you want to use evaporated canned milk, or you could use whole milk and sprinkle some sugar in there to your desired taste. And stir it up, pour that milk in there, and I use 6 different types of cheese because he loves it cheesy. So you got the mild and the sharp cheddar, and then you got the mozzarella, and you got the cottage cheese.
Whoa.
Yeah, I forgot the other two names of those cheese, so forgive me, you guys. But you don't necessarily have to use all 6. And you put that in there, and you put the crab meat in there, and you steam the shrimp on the stove as well.
Oh.
And then once it's steamed, the crab meat is steamed and the shrimp is steamed, and you implement it in there. You mix it all together, and you cover it up with that aluminum. You put it in the oven. Your oven have to be set to 350 degrees, and you put it in there covered for 45 minutes so that everything, the cheese and all that, can blend and mix together. Because you will want that cheese to wrap around them shrimp and that crab meat,
Oh.
So every bite you want to be able to taste everything, and then you take the lid after the 45 minutes. You take the lid off, and you let it sit in there for 15 minutes so that the top could get a little crisp, just a little bit. And once that's done, you take it out of the oven, and it's well ready to serve.
Oh, that
And my
sounds
husband
wonderful.
loves it. And I just did it on Sunday night because his birthday was yesterday, and I did a dinner gathering here at the house for him. So it was the baked macaroni and cheese, it was the barbecue ribs, it was the collard greens, the yellow rice, and
Wow.
it was a 4-layer cake and some
Did you make
korma.
the cake?
I do bake, but this particular cake, I had my best friend aunt make it. The bottom layer was a devil dog chocolate cake, and then it was a brownie on the second layer. Then it was another type of chocolate cake, and then brownie at the top. And she put some walnuts and chocolate chip on it, and crunch, some
Oh
crunch
my
on there.
gosh.
Yes, he loves chocolate. So it was a 4-layer cake, and he enjoyed every bit of it.
Well, Joanna, tell us how people can get a hold of you.
Well, I am on Facebook underneath Joanna Benthall. I'm on Instagram, Benthall Joanna. Also, my email, if you want to email me, you can at joannmallard@gmail.com. That's Joanne, Joann, Mallard@gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook underneath Joanna Mallard for my model page, Joanna Mallard for Unique Eyes organization, and my contact number is 201-354-0098. I'm always open and willing to have conversations, and any resourceful information I can offer, I don't mind to to assist any way possible. And that's how you can contact me. Is Can I, Renee, if you don't mind, I would like to elaborate a little bit about the National Federation of the Blind because they played a detrimental part in my life still to this present day. The National Federation of the Blind is an organization of the blind people, of the blind Americans, and they, oh my goodness, they are phenomenal. They really do encourage blind people to live the life they want, and you can. There's
That's
lawyers
right.
and all different types of roles.
They are wonderful. They're wonderful.
Yes, a wonderful,
We've
yes,
had a
a
bunch of
wonderful organization. And
NFB people on. So
yes, and if it's any blind Americans that's listening that have children and you're in New Jersey, there is the Bell Academy for the blind children from ages 4 to 12. New Jersey program is from June 29th to July 10th. Um, and it's a 2-week program from 9 to 3. And, you could bring your children there. Will take place at the YMCA in Perth Amboy. I'm also a mentor with that program. I am also on the statewide resolution committee. So what we do is compose resolutions for the blind Americans. And right now, the latest one we are working on is the Blind Parents' Rights Bill.
Oh,
Because,
that's a biggie.
yes, is very, very dear to my heart, due to the fact that, I've been through some things with Division of Child Protection and Permanency. So we're trying to get the law passed because no one can take away anyone's God-given right to be a parent.
That's
So
correct.
we're fighting hard for it, and in due time, it will be done, and signed, sealed, and delivered, and everyone can feel safe to, know that just because I'm blind, my child or children won't be removed from me.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's one thing we're working on strongly, and I strongly advise those, to just go on the website and read about the National Federation of the Blind, which is www.nfb.org. You can find all the information you need on there, and just educate yourselves, because people perish from the lack of knowledge. So daily educate yourself, because there's always something in the day to learn to get us through the day. So
Exactly. So, Joanna, thank you so much. We've had a wonderful time here. You've given us lots of food for thought, and I appreciate it. And I'm sure everyone in our audience really loves it. And this is a good time. I mean, we need something like this right now to keep all of us going. And you were a great person to do it. So, thank you again, Joanna.
thank you for having me.
And this has been Renee Rentmeester, creator, executive producer of the Cooking Without Looking TV show. And if you want to reach out to us, it's www.cookingwithoutlookingtv.wordpress.com. And our phone number is 305-200-9104. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.